Royal Natural Health and Wellness Clinic and Alfredo County Limited, and also aside the Enumerator Sebo HB News. Abraham. Obusianti since Numina me Fakasebo Nichimu and Mudiana. And then June 15th, you are suffering a World Elderly Abuse Awareness Day. Now to say, ya papa no mamenum. Dani Dania, a binum Mrs. Moon, woman feeling Queen Massa, now feeling about the boom be Eddie Busiano, and some queen near the Quaco Shomo, and Intino, a Phoebe Miamuno, June Busum, that also a do a num and a issue on Bomu de which they said. Sabio Sabinia, I am of Frada, ye Queen Muno, and Penny Fie Muno, a good do one of my half-friend about better obedi, now Fabi, I had dear been a buno, a go on cry, a quiet best show money a cromono. Over here now, Quack at it, Sam. O Papa Bia, and I saw Mammy Bia said, be waiting me and could Juma Sono, and Mouse saw Beshan no Nafi. Would Juma Baba excuse now, Trichino, and Castle no crown or Shasama, would Juma away no Encoso, Sana Meniniano, Sabe, as Quasem and Sabe Trimukura, and a any Bia be any quantity of Sana Manaso, oh, we are self now, 3 pounds. Ayo, my gun, now copy mu my Sabe Fia. That and that done, woman so share who found with the home come. And when I'm so Ketu South, woman, my Sebujini, or no for a blanc, Jifa, Gomashi, was so original and now so rich the Mupan said. And Marty Tripa and Omudu Penny Fieswa, sending an idea, the Yomo, Obershane, Trichomo, Baye, and a tardy to Musuye Pa, what you said. Well, best that pass as Uncle Mutrichi, bits my coso. Now, Fay, and Raya, the bought your mamma who buy no, ye you Mupan pains, and a bear. And Coban said, Danny Daniano.
Mr. Speaker, I'm thankful for the opportunity to make a statement as we commemorate this extremely important World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Mr. Speaker, June 15th of every year is designated as World Elder Abuse Day. It was established by the United Nations in response to a proposal by the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse, which was initially organized in June 2006. Today marks the day the entire globe expresses its outrage at the cruelty and suffering perpetrated on some of our elders. Abuse can occur in homes, institutional settings, and may take forms such as physical, sexual, emotional, or psychological, neglect, abandonment, financial, or material exploitation. Mr. Speaker, the theme for this year's World Elder Abuse Day is closing the cycle, addressing gender-based violence in older age policy, law and evidence-based responses. I wish to appeal to the Gender Committee of this august House to take an interest in the treatment of the vulnerable in our society more seriously and demand the best for them. Finally, as Ghanaians, we all have a role to play in having a change in mindset and attitudes towards the elderly people in our churches, schools, markets, on buses, and society as a whole. I miss the good old days where children had utmost respect and honor for the aged. Today, the lack of empathy and care towards the aged is alarming. To my colleague MPs, as a family unit, we can contribute to the solution by instilling in our children the essence of compassion, empathy, and respect our old men and women.
Yama meno nyam for abla Jifa Gomashi eden anonsem to dwawe ye no ma shebujafo ni bi nso eka enya ya de ayede ye ma mutitiri pa no omodo ma no to sanse ni mu kan semwe.
To hear that in Ghana, while people are growing and is seen as a blessing, we see it as something that is demonic and evil. To be blessed with aging is an important lesson for the youth, that when you grow, it means that you sowed good seed upon which you have been blessed to grow. Mr. Speaker, the lynching of the 90-year-old lady at Mio is a clear testimony of the way that we respect and the way that we don't respect our elderly. There's a case here that you have to look at and come out with bold decisions and policy to protect our elderly, particularly those coming from places where they see the women as being witch.
It comes to old age. I think as a nation, we need to change our perception towards old age. It surprises me that parents can give birth to 6, 5, 4 children, but these 4 children cannot take care of just 2 parents who gave birth to them. It surprises me. And they end up running to churches and they will portray the picture as if the parents rather are their problems. And people will start sending their parents to places that is not best, and before you realize, they will start lynching some of them, as she stated in the statement.
I believe that aging is a natural phenomenon, and at all times, it is important that we do our best to safeguard it and make it useful. In Akan, we have a proverb that says that literally meaning that if you don't have the elderly in your home, there's calamity. So clearly, as a speaker, having the opportunity to have older people, elderly people in your home is a blessing.
I will start from where Honorable Ripopofu left off. We are all aging. We all grow to become old ladies one day. But unfortunately, Sunday will be celebrating International Father's Day. Unfortunately, the men have never been said to be wizards. It's always the women who are witches. But unfortunately, if by the grace of God, you are granted to grow older, definitely you will get there. I think domestic violence issues are still increasing, whether physically, emotionally, or whatever. But then, have we been voicing out some of this?
And the ramping for Ebo Jasin Konya, a shrimp como F. Kwan who will be a ye bets me a shena, a fumagudia to a my gun and moon, yabo who by na. Teaching pan set ye de qua amrone, ye crada quamuneno. Young found qua sending you 2 na emo ye bets me down the moon send a bear. Nebo no bets me a costro nothing for so the apple being soon, or my gun it's me ya. Ye share ye near me be a fumagudia, ye crada quamrone, Mrs. Kako. Good fango oil and diamond senior you 2 year near Swada Kakoma Kusikoko. No, I done the Nina fee and Emma who would be in and was out to about my and no so far was share and sa senior for me good so Honorable Samuel Abujina Podi to just said some dear lithium my enya or my gun in Muno yet to Nasi and Sabiuda or my gun and Casabeda de me send a bed the Becquamon no now for so Ragu Niniano ye gribi.
Lithium is become a very consequential mineral resource today because of the whole issue of electric vehicles and LIBs. So I won't be surprised if lithium was to overtake gold. But whatever it is, we are also putting in place measures and policies which will ensure that one, we get into contractual arrangements which are in the interest of the Ghanaian public. 2, that as much as possible we retain a significant proportion of the value chain in country. Trade, that we exploit these resources in a manner which does not compromise the environment. Fourthly, and quite importantly, it's also that we put in place the necessary framework which will attract investment, foreign investment into this area, and ensure that we are able to exploit these resources, have beneficiation, and in a manner which will contribute to our national development, as well as be meaningful for international investors. I think that's also very important. Well, first of all, we are putting in place a policy framework. That is the instructions of President Akufo-Addo, that we put in place a framework first. And as I speak to you, there's a policy proposal before the cabinet of President Akufo-Addo, and it's about to be examined and examined thoroughly for us to settle on the policy on our green minerals. Once we settle on the policy on our green minerals, we then can publicize it and outdoor it to the world. So when you are coming to Ghana, there is certainty and consistency. There is sanctity of contract. The rules don't get changed in the middle of the game. So you know what is the policy in respect of green minerals in Ghana. Now, when that is done, we will then move into the next phase of the mechanics of negotiating contracts, signing contracts, and beginning to exploit these minerals. But what I can say, without a shred of equivocation, is that we will not export our green minerals in their raw form. That we will not, come what may. Hopefully, in the long run, why not eventually, but we have to be realistic and we have to appreciate the legitimate hurdles we have to cross before we can get there. But at the very least, we must participate at some level of the value chain, not at the lowest end. We must participate. I mean, it's just been said at the plenary that at the base of the value chain is $11 billion US. At the highest end of the value chain is $7 trillion US. So if you are just mining the value chain, well, the value of that will be $11 billion US. If you are producing electric vehicles, you are talking about $7 trillion US. That the gap is huge. So we want to participate at some level of the value chain. We appreciate that given our current circumstances, it may not be possible in the immediate time to participate at the very highest end. But whatever the situation is, we should not export lithium or any green mineral.
Your concern from Diana Swafo anase Nyamfo first to say Wakofie aye. Mashibujeni Demadesha more apart than Tra East constituency. Or no then ato Ghana quine quantum so a winsemu. Now she send your quine and a quantum quantity sequent or my Ghana mu. Now over fat motorway super. Emu portos as will be an etu to our rebel woman, which says Ansem ya rehusempa. Na intimim kobani so my Ghana pass ni abo embere na ya kwane akwantim poniano. Eso enamono enhyira nya papa na ema kwenhia hodo no atwini ti o man Ghana mu no chire mu semra so sa aban eja busia bo ahodo na wabrabra se wo de ya kwan o man Ghana mfiri se yehunu aban wei aban etwemu ni a obi a na femu de na enso entimi so ano enti no ne susue mu de emra so sa aban ekwankwankwa hodo mu so ena omo kwatwetwe nkomo bi so omo se wadwen e wo ho ne sen sankwankwa bi ebetimi aye kwan bi na se tolo di ende no be esiso de agiji misika won fanya mfumo man Ghana echen se e be koje bosia na afei ababeda enchirima so yenti ononyam for first to see Wakofi.
The background of the state is a wake-up call on the government to see how best they can partner with the private sector to reduce the road infrastructure deficit that we have in the country. Previous governments have, over the years, indicated in their various manifestos and various budgets that they've more than constructed a certain decent number of kilometers of roads. But it appears every section of this very country is crying for good roads. And some have been shown on various TV, I believe even in your own TV stations, you've shown bad roads of almost every constituency. So it tells you that in spite of the effort that the central government, the previous government are putting in to reduce the road infrastructure deficit, we still have a lot of work to be done in terms of road infrastructure. And you can also see that the government revenue cannot support this road infrastructure deficit.